With the announcement of The Hobbit for Magic the Gathering, we got some of the cards. I thought this was a great time to start talking about my Aragorn the Uniter deck. Now, I get this to focus up a little better with the lights. Obviously, this is Japanese because I accidentally ordered a Japanese version. I'm going to do a deck profile about what is in this deck. I do want to preface, this deck is not 100% complete. There are certain Lord of the Rings cards that I want to get in here, but what this is about simply is multicolored legendary permanents getting cast and getting lots of value. So let's get into the deck. So let's talk about my Aragorn the Uniter deck and what we have inside. We start off with Aragorn Hornburg Hero. This is 1 red, green, and white for a 4/4. Attacking creatures you control have First Strike and Renown. Renown is whenever a creature with Renown 1 deals combat damage to a player. If it isn't renowned, you put a 1/1 counter on it and it becomes renowned. Whenever a renowned creature you control does combat damage to a player, double the number of 1/1 counters on it. So this is basically giving everything First Strike and Renown, giving it 1/1s, and then doubling its counters. And obviously, it's Aragorn, so it had to go in. I will place them this way. We've then got Aragorn, King of Gondor. This is a 1 blue, red, white for a 4/4 Vigilance lifelink. When Aragorn, King of Gondor, enters the battlefield, you become the Monarch. When Aragorn attacks, up to 1 target creature can't block this turn. If you're the Monarch, creatures can't block this turn. Well, maybe I should explain this guy. So Aragorn the Uniter is red, green, white, blue. And basically what he does is whenever you cast spells of certain colors, his abilities trigger. So he is a 5/5. Whenever you cast a blue spell, you scry. Whenever you cast a white spell, you create a 1/1 soldier token. Like that. Whenever you cast a green spell, target creature gets +4/+4. And whenever you cast a red spell, target opponent takes 3 damage. So, with cards like this, I have cast a blue, red, and white spell. Therefore, I will get all 3 of those color triggers on Aragorn. We've then got Galadriel, Light of Valinor from the Scene box. This is a 2 green, white, and blue for a 3/3. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, choose one that hasn't been chosen this turn. Add 3 green mana, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control, scry 2, and then draw a card. You can kind of see this like where it's going. It's very legendary creature heavy and very multicolored creature and multicolored spell heavy. At the beginning of your end step, choose an opponent. At the beginning of that player's next end step, you draw a card. If they didn't attack you this turn, otherwise create 3 1/1 white human soldier creature tokens for 2, a white, and a blue. 3/3. Really great card. Token creation's a big part of this deck with the soldiers. We've then got Elrond, Master of Healing, which is 2, a green, and a blue. 4/4. Whenever you scry, put a 1/1 counter on each of up to X target creatures, where X is the number of cards looked at while scrying this way. Whenever a creature you control with a 1/1 counter on it becomes the target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, you may draw a card. Now, while this is very Lord of the Rings heavy, it is not entirely Lord of the Rings. We've got a 2 blue, red, and white for Eowyn Shield Maiden, a 5/4 First Strike. At the beginning of combat on your turn, another human enter the battlefield under your control this turn. Create 2 2/2 red human knight creature tokens with trample and haste. Then if you control 6 or more humans, draw a card. There are quite a lot of humans in this deck. Speaking of humans and cards that aren't Lord of the Rings, we have Captain Sisay. 2, a green, and a white for a 2/2 human soldier. Tap it, search your library for a legendary card, reveal that card, put it into your hand, then shuffle. You can tell why this is in the deck, and this is the beautiful Secret Lair. Then we have one from the same Secret Lair. It is Selvala Explorer Returned, 1 green and a white for a 2/4. Tap it, each player reveals the top card of their library. For each non-land card revealed this way, add a green mana and you gain a life, then each player draws a card. Fun for the deck. This one here is a new addition. Amareth the Lustrous, flying 6/6 for 3, a green, a white, and a blue. Whenever another permanent enters the battlefield under your control, look at the top card of your library. If it shares a card type with that permanent, you may reveal that card and put it in your hand. Fun. We then have Inga and Esseka, 2 green and a blue for a 4/4. Creatures you control have Vigilance and tap. Add 1 mana of any color. Spend this only to cast a creature spell. Whenever you cast a creature spell, if 3 or more mana from creatures was spent to cast it, draw a card. So it turns everything into mana rocks, which is great for all the soldiers you make. We then have 1 red and a white for a 3/1 hexproof from monocolored General Ferrus Rockerick. When you cast a multicolored spell, create a 4/4 red and white golem artifact creature token. So it's more token generation from him. Next up, Éomer, King of Rohan. 3, a red and a white for a double strike 2/2. Éomer, King of Rohan enters with a 1/1 counter on it for each human you control. When Éomer enters the battlefield, target player becomes the monarch. Éomer deals damage equal to its power to any target. Next up, Theoden, King of Rohan. 1, a red and a white. 2/3. When Theoden, King of Rohan, or another human enters the battlefield under your control, target creature gains double strike until end of turn. Merry, Esquire of Rohan, red, white, 2/2, haste. When Merry, Esquire of Rohan has first strike as long as it's equipped, whenever you attack with Merry and another legendary creature, draw a card. Faramir, Steward of Gondor, 1, a white and a blue. This is a 2, oh, my bad. This is a 2/2. Whenever a legendary creature with mana value 4 or greater enters the battlefield under your control, you become the monarch. Beginning your end step, if you're the monarch, create 2 1/1 white human soldier creature tokens. More token generation in that. Then we have Boromir, Warden of the Tower. 2 and a white for a 3/3 vigilance. When an opponent casts a spell, if no mana was spent to cast it, counter it. Sacrifice him. Creatures you control get indestructible until end of turn and the ring tempts you. Gimli of the Glittering Caves, 2 and a red, 1/1 double strike. When another legendary enters the battlefield under your control, put a 1/1 counter on Gimli Glittering Caves. When Gimli deals combat damage to a player, create a treasure token. Legolas Greenleaf, 2 and a green, 2/2 reach. Legolas can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less. When another legendary creature enters the battlefield under your control, put a 1/1 counter on Legolas Greenleaf. When Legolas Greenleaf deals damage to a player, draw a card. And then Eleanor Gardner, 3 and a green for a 2/4. When Eleanor Gardner enters the battlefield, create a food token. At the beginning of your end step, if you sacrifice a food token this turn, you may search your library for a basic land, put it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. This is a great ramp card for food tokens, basically. Then you've got Surek Dragonclaw, 2 green, blue, and red. We love multicolor. 6/6 flash, can't be countered. Creature spells you control can't be countered. Other creatures you control have trample. Super important to get trample on the creatures when you're going wide. Then you have the 1 green, blue, red Eshki Dragonclaw. 4/4 vigilance, trample, ward 1. Being a combat on your turn, if you've cast both a creature spell and a non-creature spell this turn, draw a card and put 2 1/1 counters on Eshki Dragonclaw. Next up, we have Balin the Haymaker. Red, green, and white for a 4/3. Tap 2 untapped tokens, add a mana of any color. Tap 3 untapped tokens, draw a card. Tap 4 untapped tokens, put 3 1/1s on Balin the Haymaker against trample until end of turn. We make a lot of 1/1 human tokens, so this is fun. Not how Balin was intended. Then we have Bright Palm's Soul Awakener. 1 a red, a green, and a white. He's a 4/3 with backup 1. When this creature enters the battlefield, put a 1/1 counter on target creature. That's another creature against the following ability until end of turn. When this creature attacks, double the number of 1/1 counters on target creature. That creature can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less. Then we have Rien, Angel of Rebirth. 2 a red, green, and white. 5/4 flying. Other multicolored creatures you control get +1/+0. Whenever another multicolored creature you control dies, return it to its owner's hand at the beginning of the next end step. Next up, 1 a green and a white. 3/3 your opponent can't cast spells during your turn. Whenever 1 or more creatures you control, each with power greater than its base power, deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. This one I really like in this deck. 1 a green and a white, 2/2. The first legendary creature spell you cast each turn costs 2 less to cast. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if you control 2 or more legendary creatures, you may transform Serra Pharaon. Serra Pharaon then becomes Crystallized Serra Legendary Artifact. The first legendary creature spell you cast each turn costs 2 less to cast, and legendary creatures you control get +2/+2, which is a lot of the deck, as you've seen. Then we've got Joyra, Weatherlight Captain. 2 a blue and a red for a 3/3. Whenever you cast a historic spell, draw a card. Legendaries, obviously, are historic. Then we've got Halana and Elena, Partners. 2 a red and green for a 2/3 first strike reach. At the beginning of combat on your turn, put X 1/1 counters on another target creature you control, where X is Halana and Elena's power. That creature gains haste until end of turn.
Now we're getting into the non-legendary creatures, starting with Wild Growth Archaic. 2, 2, or green. For a 0/0 trample reach. This creature enters with a 1/1 counter on it for each color of mana spent to cast it. So ideally, you want to use all 4 colors to get a 4/4. Whenever you cast a creature spell, that creature enters with X additional 1/1 counters on it, where X is the number of colors of mana spent to cast it. So you have this on board, and then all your creatures that are coming in, casting with multicolors, are getting +1s because of this. Losarnach Captain, 3 and a white, first strike, 3/1. Whenever Losarnach Captain or another human enters the battlefield under your control, tap a creature an opponent controls. 3 in your upkeep, create a 1/1 creature, white human soldier, creature token. Temur Battlecrier, for a green-blue-red, 4/3. During your turn spells you cast cost 1 less to cast for each creature you control, powerful or greater, which can be a lot of creatures. Aurora Awakener, for 6 and a green, 7/7 trample. When this creature enters, reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal X permanent cards, where X is the number of colors among permanents you control. Put a number of those permanent cards onto the battlefield, but the rest of the reveal cards on the bottom of your library. So that's fun to cheat out cards. Then we have Falaji Wayfarer, 2 and a green, 2/4. Falaji Wayfarer is all colors. This ability doesn't affect its color identity. Multicolored spells you cast have Convoke, which is super useful with the tokens. Fabro Elder, 1 green white, Vigilance 0/0, gets 1/1 for each color among permanents you control, but it also taps for each color among permanents you control, add a mana of that color. So with Aragorn on field, I get all 4 colors except black. He can tap for 4. Then we have Noble Hierarch, which is a green, Exalted 0/1, and it taps for green, blue, or white. Not red, but that's great. And that's all the creatures. We get into artifacts. We got Anduril Narsil Reforged from the Scene Box, which is 2. It's a send, it's an equipment. Whenever equipped a creature attacks, put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control. If you have the City's Blessing, put 2 1/1 counters on each creature you control. So going big there. We then have Anduril Flame of the West for 3. Equipped creature gets +3/+1. Whenever equipped creature attacks, creature tokens with fly, create 2 tapped 1/1 white spirit creature tokens with flying. If the creature is legendary, create 2 of those tokens that are tapped and attacking. We then have legendary artifact Doors of Durin, 3, a red and a green. Whenever you attack, scry 2, then you may reveal the top card of your library. If it's a creature card, put it on the battlefield, tapped and attacking. Until your next turn, it gains trample if you control a dwarf, and hexproof if you control an elf. So Gimli, Legolas, Aragorn, you're getting lots of value. Crown of Gondor for 3. Quick creature gets 1/1 for each creature you control. When a legendary creature enters the battlefield on your control, if there is no monarch, you become the monarch. It's equipped 4, but it costs 3 less if you are the monarch. We then have manas. So we got Springleaf Drum for 1. Tap an untapped creature, add a mana of any color. Just tap a token. Sol Ring, but the Lord of the Rings one. Arcane Signet, the Lord of the Rings one. Relic of Legends. Tap an untapped legendary creature, add a mana of any color, or it taps to add a mana of any color. So obviously tap it to add a mana of any color, but if you tap a creature, you don't tap it. You can keep doing it. So it can be quite good. Chromatic Lantern, obviously lands you control any color. It's a very useful card to fix mana. Then you've got Conqueror's Flail. I have this foil TMNT version, unfortunately. It is a 2 cost. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 for each color among permanents you control, which is going to be 4. As long as this equipment is attached to a creature, your opponents can't cast spells during your turn. Getting into enchantments, we got Kellen Joins Up for a green, a white, and a blue. When Kellen Joins Up enters the battlefield, you may exile a non-land card with a mana value 3 or less from your hand. If you do, it becomes plotted. You may cast it as a sorcery on a late turn without paying its mana cost. Whenever a legendary creature enters the battlefield on your control, put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control. That is a very useful thing. Flowering of the White Tree is a 1 white, 1 white enchantment. Legendary creatures you control get +2/+1 and have ward 1. Non-legendary creatures get +1/+1. And that is a Lord of the Rings card. We have Search for Dagger, which is 1 and a white, from the Scene Box from Final Fantasy. Whenever your commander enters or attacks, look at the top 6 cards of your library, reveal a legendary creature card from among them, and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So it's a great way to get legendary creatures to your hand. Then we have Broker's Ascendancy for green, white, blue. Begin your end step, put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control and a loyalty counter on each planeswalker you control. Kind of want some planeswalkers in this deck. 1 and a red for Impact Tremors. When a creature enters the battlefield you control, it deals damage to each opponent. With the amount of soldiers and other tokens we're going to create, this is great. Mirari's Wake, 3, a green, and a white. Creature you control get 1/1. Whenever you tap a land for mana, add 1 mana to your mana pool of any type of land that land produced. So, just double mana. Rhythm of the Wild for 1 a red and a green. Creature spells you control can't be countered. Non-token creatures you control have a riot. So they enter with haste or 1/1. Elven Chorus for 3 and a green. Look at the top card of your library anytime. Cast creature spells from the top of your library. Creature you control tap for and add 1 mana of any color. Then we have Cathar's Crusade, 3 a white and a white. When a creature you control enters, put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control. With all of the tokens that we're making, this goes really crazy. And of course, our game changer here, we have Smothering Tithe. This is currently the only game changer in the deck. I think Ancient Tomb, the Durin's Tomb, that version, or is it Balin's Tomb? I think I can't remember. The special version of Ancient Tomb, I think will go in this deck when I get it. Now to instance, we have a Dovin's Veto, the Final Fantasy version. Spell can't be countered. Counter target non-creature spell for a white and a blue. We then have Counterspell, of course. We have this classic one. We've got Unbreakable Formation for 2 and a white. Creature control gain indestructible until end of turn. If you cast this during your main phase, put a 1/1 counter on each of those creatures, and they get Vigilance until end of turn. So you can use that on attack or on defense. We then have Growth Spiral. Draw a card, put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield for a green and a blue. We have Bant Charm for a green, a white, and a blue. Choose one, destroy a target artifact, put target creature on the bottom of its own library, or counter an instant spell. We then have Swords to Plowshares. We have Path to Exile. Those are the Lord of the Rings versions. We have many partings. Green to search my library for a basic land, reveal it, put it into my hand, and then shuffle, and then create a food token. We have Cultivate for 2 and a green. Search my library for 2 basic lands, reveal those, put one on the battlefield tapped, and the other into my hand, then shuffle. So there's some mana ramp. Supreme Verdict for 1, 2 white, and a blue. The spell can't be countered. Destroy all creatures. We got a board wipe there. We're getting into lands now. So we got the fancy ones. This is Japanese, but it's Inn of the Prancing Pony. This taps for 1 mana of any color among legendary permanents you control. This is Helm's Deep or Shinka the Blood-Soaked Keep. Legendary land, tap to add 1 red mana. Also red and tap. Target legendary creature gains first strike until end of turn. We have Minas Tirith. Enters the battlefield tapped unless you have a legendary creature. It taps for a white, and you can pay 1 on a white to draw a card. Activate only if you have to tap with 2 or more creatures this turn. We then have the Shire. This enters tapped unless you have a legendary creature. It taps for green. You can pay 1 on a green to tap an untapped creature you control to create a food token. We have the Mines of Moria. Also enters tapped unless you control a legendary creature. We don't have the fancy one of this. But you tap to add a red. You pay 3 and a red to exile 3 cards from your graveyard to create 2 treasure tokens. Rivendell enters tapped unless you control a legendary creature. It adds 4 blue. You can tap 1 on a blue to scry 2. Activate only if you control a legendary creature. We then have Great Hall of the Citadel, which taps for a colorless. But if you pay 1, it taps for 2 mana of any combination of colors. Spend it only to cast legendary spells. The Grey Havens. When it enters, scry 1, taps for a colorless, or it taps for a color among legendary creatures in your graveyard. We then get into normal lands. So we got Hallowed Fountain, Plains Island. We have Temple Garden. We have Spara's Headquarters. We have Rejuvenating Springs. We have Willow Rust Verge. We have Plaza of Heroes, which is a colorless. Add 1 mana of any color, spend it to cast a legendary spell. Add 1 mana of any color among legendary permanents you control. Or 3, exile this, target legendary creature gains hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. We have a Yavimaya Coast, Horizon Canopy, Canopy Vista. Most of these are the Lord of the Rings versions. Hinterland Harbor, Prairie Stream, Sunpetal Grove, Battlefield Forge, Clifftop Retreat, Brushland, Sulphur Falls, Command Tower, of course, Path of Ancestry, Exotic Orchid. Then we got basics. So we got 1 foil plains, 1 foil island, 1 non-foil of the other island. We need a foil. 1 foil mountain there, and then the other art foil mountain. Then we've got a foil forest of that version, and then a non-foil version. We don't have the other one. That is my Aragorn, the United deck, currently in its form. What do you guys think of that? Let me know in the comment section. I am intrigued to know what your guys' opinions of my Aragorn deck is. I do want to get the poster foil of this at some point. It's going to be the upgrade. That's why I haven't switched from the Japanese version, just because I'm so used to what it says. I know what it does. But yeah, this is my favorite Lord of the Rings deck. What do you guys think of it? Got any cool ideas or upgrades for this deck? Let me know in the comments as well. Or if you want the deck list, of course, check the description. See you guys later.